In December, the worst phone call in the world came. I'll never forget, because it woke us up. It was 2:01. Because when the phone rang, I looked at the clock, she answered the phone, and I just started getting dressed because I knew there was something bad. To this day, I can still see Jeff's face. I thought he was dead.
Being hit by an automobile is, we call that real trauma. Sports trauma is an injury, but it's not like being hit by an automobile and thrown 50 feet. It was life-threatening, fractured his pelvis bone. At that period of time, I talked with Dr. Wilbur, who was looking after him, and he said, you know, this guy's amazing. He's just, all he wants to talk about is when is he going to be back on the football field.
My earliest memory, I have pictures of me actually with a football in my crib. I was maybe a few months old.
He loved sports from the moment he knew what a ball was. He always had a ball in his hand, a football, a basketball, a baseball, a soccer ball.
And I really didn't let him play any organized football, CYO, or anything until he was in the 6th grade. And finally, with some peer pressure, I let him play.
From there, really, I kind of had the perfect life. I started on the varsity football and basketball teams, and then I was going through a recruiting for the Air Force Academy, which was kind of one of my dreams. And then my senior year came and I ended up tearing my ACL. And, you know, that was kind of devastating for me.
Then the Air Force got pulled out from under him. He goes to Purdue, and again, devastated. And that's when he decided he had to transfer and he had to play football.
Jeff, when he did decide to come to BW, was a great thing for us. He was very athletic, and he ran extremely well. Typically in football, you look for people that can run fast, and Jeff could run fast.
My junior year, I was really going to make a contribution, maybe possibly be a starter, and I ended up tearing my ACL in the 5th practice. After 3 months of rehab, I was almost running again, and then I was hit by a pickup truck going 35 miles an hour.
The initial injury, when he first injured his right ACL, I just used Dr. Bergfeld's ACL protocol. It wasn't until the second time when he got injured that I had to create something where his knee was involved, but I had to think about his hip. And then later on in the rehabs when we discovered more of a shoulder injury as well.
I was looking forward to him coming back to play for Ball Wallace his senior year. And when he went through spring practice and it looked like he was going to do it, and he said, well, can you write a letter to Case Western Reserve? And I said, what do you mean? The first thing I said, you can't transfer.
You're used to kids having ACL surgery and coming back, but not just the multiple things that Jeff went through. And I was concerned whether physically he'd be able to hold up, but I knew because he wanted to try it that he was extremely dedicated towards doing it.
One of the first things I do is send out forms to all the incoming athletes, so I am gaining their medical histories. So when Jeff's came across my desk, you can imagine there was a lot of yeses checked in terms of injuries. So I immediately called him to get more information, and he came in personally with his father. They brought me all the documentation I needed, such as operative reports and notes from his physicians and things like that.
When he first reported to our summer preseason camp, he instantly got hurt. It was a typical football injury, pulled a muscle, and unfortunately the game that he came back from it, the first time he set on the field, he dislocated his fingers. So things were not starting off really well.
I think it was the 9th game against Washington when the guy was ahead of him, broke his leg, and gave Jeff an opportunity.
And then the Widener game rolls around, and it's the biggest game in Case history. We've never gone to the playoffs. And then with 1:30 left, that catch was, I still don't know how I caught it. I really don't.
We didn't see the touchdown catch. We heard it, but our eyes were blurry.
I was crying and everybody else was cheering.
And to see him have 10 catches and to have the winning touchdown catch was quite an inspiration for me.
Courage is a word that's thrown around pretty loosely, I think, for some pretty simple things. But when you take a look at everything that Jeff's gone through, that's a shining example, I think, of anything that you could come up with about what courage is about.
Whalen to throw again. It is caught at the goal line, and it's a touchdown! Mayer with a touchdown with 2.4 seconds left. And look at Jeff Mayer.